Hey everyone, I am Manu, Lutz painter, and today we are painting Lutz Studios' Epic Fantasy Chess. For this project, I'm giving the pieces and the chessboard a marble look, so this is basically a marble painting tutorial too. I'll show you two styles, a clean white marble and a rich green marble with golden veins. It's a simple process, but it looks super realistic. It'll also give you some tips to nail it at home. And if you want to test this out first, you can grab the high quality free mini to practice on. The link will be in the description. Now let's get to the painting. We'll start with the white marble. This part is going to be a bit more detailed, so you can really understand the step-by-step, since you will be repeating almost the same process for the other pieces and the rest of the chessboard. First, start with a white primer. We are using an airbrush, but a spray primer works too. Then, for the base color, we are going with a warm light gray. I'm using Iron Painter Ash Gray. And dry brush pure white on top. Then take some very diluted dark gray. We are using Pro Acryl Dark Neutral Gray. Load your brush with thin paint and just splash it across the piece. We want to create a random pattern here, so if you need, splash it again. Using some reference images may help you. After drying, trace some lines with the same dark gray, using the pattern we created as a guide. Do them as thin or thick as you want. You can do some dry brushing with gray and white over it to soften things a little. This next step is optional, but you'll have a pretty effect in the end. Trace some of the thicker lines with a nice golden paint. We are using Scale 75 Victorian brass. Be careful not to overdo it. And here we have the white pieces done. For the green pieces, the process is going to be very similar to the white ones. But this time, start with a black primer, then dry brush with a dark green paint over everything. We are using Green Stuff World Dark Evergreen. Dilute a light desaturated green. We are using Army Painter Olive Drab and splash it with your brush. This time, we are trying to make these light green lines a little thicker and transparent. After drying, use a light gray. We are using Army Painter Ash Gray to trace some thicker lines. And finally, do your golden touches. And here we have the green pieces done. Before you move to the board, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next tutorials. First, prime your board with white or gray primer. Then, for the base color, we are going with the same warm light gray we used on the pieces. Now we need to create some texture here, and for this we are going to use a piece of sponge. Put some paint in a dry palette. Dab your sponge on both colors, but mostly on white, and then use this sponge to create your texture. We are using the same gray as in the base color and some pure white. Work on each square at a time and try to keep everything random now, blending your grays and whites. Whites tend to darken when dry, so After drying, you can reapply where you think it's necessary. Now we are doing some dark lines on our marble texture using a dark gray color. We are using Pro Acryl Dark Neutral Gray. Follow the texture we created and try tracing some lines in the same fashion as the pieces. Now we are stippling a very diluted paint over these lines, creating a faded effect around them. You can have some lighter and darker areas, as well as some thinner and thicker areas. Again, using some reference images may help you now. Trace over some thicker lines with your golden tone. Lastly, glaze some pure white where you think it's needed. And here is your finished white marble. Now for the green marble, let's protect what we already painted with some masking tape. The process is going to be very similar to the white one. We are mostly changing colors and some patterns. Start with a black base coat. We are using Army Painter Matte Black with an airbrush. Painting black over a light color should be way easier than the other way around. So if you want, you can do this easily by brush. In a similar way to what we did before, we are creating texture with a sponge. For that, use more of your dark green and just a dab of the light one. Keep your time, work square by square, and if you need to, reapply in some areas after dry. We are going to trace some lines using light gray. Now, we chose to do thicker and more transparent lines. So we are using more diluted paint and a bigger brush in a stippling motion. Then we are glazing over those lines with an even more diluted paint to make it more transparent and thinner than we did before. Finish with some black glazes where you think is needed. Some golden touches here and there. And here you have your finished green marble. You can vary the colors and patterns to create different kinds of marble. Try doing some tests before and create your own recipe. Prime or base color everything black. Then dry brush all the bricks and corners with light green. We are going for something darker than the white marble, but lighter than the green marble. So, if you're trying your marble style, you can match the same idea. Do a black wash over everything. We are using Army Painter Dark Tone here. Wait until it's completely dry and then do a heavy dry brush over all the stone parts with a darker gray paint. For highlights, dry brush only the stone on the halfway up with your lighter gray. This way you get some nice contrast. For the statues, we are using the same colors as the board's base stone. First, prime or base color everything black. Next, dry brush everything heavily with the same dark gray, and then dry brush only the uppermost parts with your light gray. Nice and simple. We really want the marble to stand out. And that's it! A complete 3D printed chessboard with a white marble side, a green marble side, and matching pieces. set is unique, so feel free to experiment with colors and patterns to make your recipe of marble. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a like, subscribe and tell me in the comments which painting tutorial you would like to see next. And don't forget, you can grab your free mini through the link in the description, practice your painting skills and prepare for the whole epic fantasy chess set.